I came a long way from hitting them licks. I was 10 with a 9, just shooting up shit. I run up them bands and stay out the mix. 20K in my mouth, another 10 on my wrist. I'm straight out the mud, I might leave a stain. 50 cal, hit 'em miles away. I heard he want smoke.
Recording in progress, head ass. No. Did you hear her? Or was it just me? Okay, anyway. So welcome to the third episode of Guaps. I said what I said. This is actually an episode redo because we had some points that we wanted to revisit. And in this episode, I have one of my best friends, Jay Jones, on here with me, and we're going to be discussing the Dave Chappelle, the closer, some remarks around that, or the controversy around that, and the cancellation, and my initial standing on that, and I guess where I feel now, where I stand now, as well as kind of touch a little bit on this whole kitchen set debate, whether a little boy should have it or not. And just how that all bleeds into and ties into really the African American community, and just how a lot of our mindsets, our traditional mindsets, can be very toxic. So anyway, I'll let you go ahead and kick it off, Jay. Introduce yourself.
All right. As Mo said, my name is Jay. Last name Jones. You can follow me on Instagram at JAY_TEE90. Go ahead, follow that. Twin dad, trans man, 31 years old, early on in my transition. So yeah. Been a part of the LGBTQ community forever. So I have lots of things to say, and I'm excited to be on the show. So appreciate it, bro.
Cool. You're welcome. Now, as many of you know, if you follow me on Facebook, if you're friends with me on Facebook, I did a live back when the Dave Chappelle thing first dropped. And I was basically saying, I did a live and my whole stance is, and I still feel portions of this. So I still stand on certain parts of what I said, but I did have to go back and revise and revisit and reflect on certain things. So my whole point in the beginning was my blackness outweighs, anything of my LGBTQ status. And the reason I feel that way, and I do still feel like it outweighs, but well, let me finish what I was going to say. So I was going to say, I feel like it outweighs that, and I feel that way because I can't hide being Black. At this point in my transition, nobody has to know that I'm transgender. And whenever I was a woman, nobody had to know that. You can generalize somebody's sexual orientation, but you can look and try to generalize, like, somebody dresses more like a stud or whatever, but generally you can't tell, or unless somebody just tells you, unless that's information that's volunteered. As far as my skin color goes, I can't take that off. I can't hide the fact I'm Black. I can't change that. X-nay Michael Jackson, but I can, other than that's a special case. I can't do that. So it's like, for me, I feel like they're two different things. And I feel like I did see his point in how I feel like the LGBT community, they get a lot more clout and help as far as their movement, and Black people, we've been trying to get equality for as long as we can remember, and it seems like that's kind of slow to boil. But yeah, but where I had to go back and revise my statement is I can't negate the fact, or I can't negate the LGBTQ side, or I can't, basically that, I can't negate it. I can't, because they are intersected. So one doesn't have to be greater than the other. It doesn't mean I have to stand more for one than I stand for the other. But I will, and we'll get into it later about what I feel about Dave's points, but I will say that I can't negate that. But yeah.
Okay. And so how I felt about it, I know the first time I watched it like kind of in a sense of just going to enjoy some comedy, because I was like prepared to laugh, ready to enjoy some comedy. And like I noticed, like when I first watched it, because I watched it twice. When I first watched it, I took my color blockers off. Like I was looking at it like, hey, he ain't talking about me, so whatever. But in a sense, like that was kind of like the second time I watched it, I was like, that's kind of the issue, is that he did not talk about me and he did not include me. Not myself in general, but the Black LGBTQ community, like in totality. Like he completely negated us. And kind of a point of what you said, like, you know, being Black and being a part of the LGBTQ community. I started doing a little bit of research because I actually follow this guy. His name is Conscious Lee. Like you can probably look him up on like on Instagram or whatever. But he does a lot of educating. Really, he says education elevation. And so he talked about a term that's called intersectionality, which I looked it up and I actually have a definition right here. It says a way of understanding social relations by examining intersecting forms of discrimination. This means acknowledging that social systems are complicated and many forms of oppression like racism, sexism, ageism might be present and active at the same time in a person's life. And so for me, like you said, I'm Black. I'm also part of the LGBTQ community. Um, Basically, that's basically what intersectionality is saying is like, hey, like, for example, like anti-racist laws and legislation, that's not made for, you know, that's not made for Black women. It's predominantly made for Black men. Like that's not something that is for Black women. So just because somebody put out something like that, like they pass some type of legislation for anti-race, they're talking about for Black men. And then on the flip side, like when it comes to, I know we'll probably touch on this as well, like the feminist movement. Like the feminist movement was a movement for white women. So it's like, where do Black LGBTQ queer people fit in any of this? And so my issue is this. The way that he told his jokes, I think his execution was terrible, because it's like, if you want to specifically, because I know a lot of Black LGBTQ people were like, even though we were disgusted, we were like, okay, he didn't specifically say LGBTQ, white LGBTQ people. He did not separate us. He did not make his jokes, or he didn't specifically say, hey, I'm only talking to white LGBTQ people because their movement is da 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 da. He said LGBTQ people in totality, when that doesn't include us. Like we are nowhere in that equation at all, because honestly, a lot of cisgendered, heterosexual people, mainly men, they don't even view us as even valid. Like he basically said, you know, for the lack of better words, he basically said, fuck us. And these jokes are for white LGBTQ people, and Black LGBTQ people are fake news, and gender's a fact. And that shit don't matter because, you know, because you're Black. But it's like, Black people don't even treat us like we even a part of the community. Like, and you know, not to be funny, like you may have a gay cousin or something like that, but if you really think about it, yeah, people are more quick to accept family predators than they are to accept somebody who's gay.
That's the
Somebody
truth.
who's transgender. You get what I'm saying? So back to Dave Chappelle. He legit like completely negated us and turned all of his attention to white people, to white LGBTQ people, which in part offended me, because it's like, well, fuck, we exist. So if you really want this whole united front with all Black people, also include us too. Like separate that shit, you know? Say white LGBTQ, and then you talk about cancel culture then. Like don't try to just generalize it and then think it's not gonna harm or hurt us. Like it does, and it really more specifically hurts Black trans women.
Yeah, because I've always said Black trans women at the bottom of the totem pole, like they below everybody. But that goes into, I feel like the Black community is always harder on gay boys or trans women, because you know they always harder on the men, as far as you got to be this way, you can't show too much emotion, you can't be feminine, you can't be vulnerable, you can't do this. This is what it takes to be a man. So yeah, and I guess my question, one of the questions that crossed my mind while you were talking, is how could he have, or how do you make that separation, and or how could he have made that separation and made that distinction known? Because one of my points, you know, when we last spoke, was that after that, because I think I watched it maybe 2 or 3 times, but after the third time I watched it, I kind of realized, honestly, his message isn't for Black people. It wasn't for us. It was for white people. His whole point was
Made
to,
assumption that it wasn't because it wasn't including us, but that's an assumption that's
that.
go ahead. I'm sorry. I mean,
No, wait, what? No, you're not even throwing me out. What's that? What?
no, you said that that you after you watch it, you felt like what his message was not for us, but did he say it wasn't for us? That's all I'm saying. That you made the assumption
He
that
didn't. He didn't say it wasn't for us, but the points that he was making, it ain't nothing new. It's nothing that we don't already know. So it's kind of like he would be preaching to the choir if the message was to us. Because to me, his whole and his delivery was bad and it was offensive. But we can go into about, and this is just me playing devil's advocate, but we can go into about all the offensive things that he made or how comics are offensive as a whole. So I guess we'd have to ask the question of drawing the line. Well, who can you offend and who can you not? Is it like everybody or is nobody, or is it this people or not? But yeah, like I was saying, but I still feel like, so I feel like, yeah, his jokes about LGBT, those were offensive, but his overall message wasn't even about them. He even said like it's not about that. His whole thing is about the whole race. That's his issue. That's where he's coming from, and so the things that he's preaching about and saying is stuff that we already know. You don't have to tell the Black community that I can get away with shooting somebody in a Walmart and nobody's gonna give a damn, but I can say something outrageous or offensive to the LGBTQ community and they're gonna take action. And why? Because I feel like they got more white people backing them. They got more fire within that. And like we also discussed last time, LGBTQness is going to resonate with white people. Being Black is not going to resonate with white people. So they naturally get more backing just because of that, period. So as I was going back to say, the message he's preaching to the choir for us. So the message that we need to hear is that trans women are women, trans men are men, and things of that nature, and being inclusive and not negating and not being offensive. That's the message that the Black community needs to hear. But as far as what he was trying, his whole message was basically that y'all don't give a fuck about Black people, and we already knew that. Black people already knew that. He's trying to preach to the white people and give them the comparisons to be like, wait a minute, it's a discrepancy here. So what's up, and why is there a discrepancy? Why can't we get the same outrage or backing whenever you kill us in the street as the same whenever we offend or hurt someone's feelings?
You know what? I wrote something down about that, but let me say this right here. When it comes to what you said about white people not getting behind black on black, not really black on black crime, because that's a really terrible thing to say, because there's no such thing as black on black crime. But to get on the fact that he can kill somebody in Walmart, his career don't suffer, and then trying to go back and say like, oh, but if the baby hurt somebody's feelings, then now it's an issue. But the thing is this right here. He's trying to point out that nobody cares about Black lives, but at the end of the day, a lot of people feel like if it does not pertain to them, then they're not going to get behind it. And I think I gave this example last time you and I spoke. It was just like, a family can go and adopt a Black kid, right? Mm-hmm. And the things that Black kid is going to go through, or let's say if that Black kid experiences something, right? They'll be more apt to feel empathetic about what happened to their child, because that has a direct relation to them. Mm-hmm. So a lot of them feel like, hey, like if it don't concern me,
then it ain't my problem.
But the thing is this, like a lot of issues that we have is because we don't really hold any power to be able to change anything, to be honest with you. Because think about it, like the derogatory terms that was said against LGBTQ people, white people have a direct correlation to it. And so they have power, they have privilege, they have power. So from there, those movements are going to take off. But when it comes to the things that we have, Black people, we're quick to be like, it's, Black people just Black people have to get more behind. It's like you can't look for somebody who created a broken system for us to come in and fix the things that we have. They can't come and fix our issue. They can fix the system.
Yeah.
But the intricate parts within those systems that's working, we have to, as a community, we have to come in and step in and address those things ourselves.
That's a good point. I never thought about it like that, but you're right, because I'm one to say we didn't build the system, so we can't be the ones to fix it. So you made a good point in that they can fix the system, but the intricacies and the things that have trickled down and all the generational trauma that has come, only we can fix that. And that Black people as a whole, we don't know ourselves. We don't know ourselves enough to even be in touch with our higher selves to be able to understand and get along. That's our problem. So we can't even get on one page with that. We so busy being comfortable in those old toxic mindsets and not wanting to branch out or feeling like something is that you need to decolonize your mind. We all need to decolonize our minds, and people are not willing to do that.
And hold people accountable. That's the biggest.
But that's a part of it.
It's and the thing about it, it's not even really just people. And I don't like to just say this because I know somebody gonna say, "Oh, not all," but the Black community need to start holding men accountable. Needs to start holding Black men accountable because that is the biggest issue. Like,
now,
hold us.
Why do you feel like it's just Black men?
Because if you really look at statistics for crime, for rape, for different things that happen within the Black community, if you really want to like go back to it and really look at the individuals, the majority of the individuals who are committing those type of crimes, those are going to be Black men. And those Black men have Black moms who are going to protect them. They also have a community that's also doing the exact same thing. They are protecting and they're sheltering them. Because the issue is they don't want to hold these people accountable, and that is the problem. Everybody wants to look at, oh, you should have picked a better man, or you wouldn't have got your ass whooped, you would have picked a better man. But it's like, why not tell Black men to be better?
Yeah.
Why not teach your sons what that no means no?
Right.
About teaching them about consent, about teaching them these things. That's the thing. It's so much coddling that's going on that is not really any real educating. Young girls are educated. Those who grow up and fit within that feminine role as a woman or as a person who is assigned female at birth, you are learning those things. But as a Black man, it's like, he'll figure it out. That's my baby. Come here. It's like, it doesn't make any sense. Hold that man accountable at the end of the day. Hold him accountable. And nobody wants to hold Black men accountable. Black men have to hold Black men accountable.
Yes.
Because that's the thing. A lot of Black men are really not really listening to what Black women are telling them, unless it's their mom or their grandma. But even still, it directly impacts. It hits them emotionally. Then when it's their family, it's their sister or their grandmama or their mom.
But even then, not to a certain extent, because it only extends so far as it's like I don't want you to be cheating on my sister, but I'm gonna go cheat on bitches myself. It's kind of like that. Yeah, it only extends so far anyway.
It's so crazy to me. It's so crazy to me because it all goes back to like the male gaze. GAZE, the male gaze. It's about making other men want to look. You want other men to look at you as
the alpha.
The alpha crap. That shit is fake news. I'm gonna be the first one to say alpha beta crap. That shit does not exist. That was a social experiment done for wolves, and they fucking domesticated wolves. And though what they realized is that there was some type of separation when they were in this domesticated environment. In the regular world, in the regular wild, wolves don't behave that way. It's a completely different lifestyle. So
so they don't have alphas of the pack and shit like that?
No such thing as no damn man.
I didn't know that. I thought they had alphas of the pack. I mean, because you got people who got more predisposition to kind of be more.
This shit.
out there as an alpha, as opposed to, and then you got people who more
what's the real
on the
characteristics of that though? Like, give me the
uh,
characteristics of an alpha male.
alpha. I would say somebody who's assertive, not aggressive. Assertive, you know how to speak your mind, you know how to lead, you know how to, but because I was gonna say betas are more timid, but you can be timid and still know how to lead and know how to, you know, I don't know. I don't know. All I'm saying is I didn't know that wolves didn't do that. I thought they had you got the alpha of the pack, and
Nah,
then if somebody want to be the alpha, you got to challenge the alpha, and then
they're just to talk shit. Like, I'm telling you, all that is all of that. That entire experiment was done in a domesticated environment for wolves. That's all I'm saying. There's actually a book. I don't know the name of the book. I could Google it if you want me to. But and if
so
whoever
what you
listening, if they want to Google that shit, they can Google it as well. Look up the book. Look it up.
so
Book about wolves.
domesticated environment. So what you're saying is it can be an alpha in the household.
That's a false correlation, bro. No, that's not what it
But
is.
you saying domesticated, if they was alpha in a domesticated and the domestic is home in that environment, can you have two alphas all in? All right, that's a whole other
Bro,
subject.
you're
All right.
not making no sense.
I'm making sense because you're saying it's a
Nah,
domesticated environment. That's
nah.
an experiment that they
Okay,
did.
but think about it. At the end of the day, saying all that alpha shit is to impress other men. Because in all actuality, I don't give a shit how this dude look at me. My woman still love me and she doing all this stuff for me and I ain't gotta ask how it. It's a partnership. It's a partnership. And who am I to be like, oh, I'm gonna come in here. This is my house. I run this shit and now she do whatever I tell her to do. What type of
That's I don't think alpha is necessarily that. That's like toxic masculinity.
that assertive though? That aggressive, assertive.
Aggressive versus assertive. That's a difference. That see to me what you just did,
That
that
is
was
a difference.
aggressive.
But when you're talking about an alpha male or alpha wolf, that
Mm.
no,
You
it's
can be assertive because when you assertive, you getting shit done. You don't have to always do,
aggressive. I meant to
huh?
say I meant to say aggressive. Let's say that.
Oh yeah, yeah. I don't because to me, I feel like an alpha male is somebody who's well balanced and you well in your power and you know where your power lies. That don't always mean you have to be aggressive. That don't even always have to mean you have to make a scene. You know where your power lies. That's in my mind. But
But,
maybe that's
but
just a
but I think it all depends upon the eye of the beholder. Like, who are you trying to? Like,
impress
you have to know who you are as a person
myself.
before
Shit.
you can even do that. So any man could be an alpha in his own way.
Yeah. Well,
So,
you're
so
right.
that's why I said that's a
Mhm.
terrible. That shit's silly. Alpha,
That
beta,
makes sense.
whatever. That's the dumbest.
Because everybody can be an alpha in their own way. Everybody can find their own power. So it's not really a either or. You're right. Okay, okay. I can see that point. I can see that point. Anyway, let's get back. I don't even know where we was going with it. We done got off into
Um,
that. What we
we
was
were
talking about before that.
talking about we were talking.
Oh, coddling
Oh yeah,
the
Mary.
male it's all about the male gaze
Yeah,
and impressing other men basically.
yeah.
Where was we going with it before that? See, look, I lost my train of thought now. God dog it. I hate when this happens.
All right,
But you basically we need to hold men accountable. That's what it was. We
basically,
need to
yeah.
hold men accountable.
Yes.
And I was just wondering because I see a lot all day, every day on Twitter of niggas blaming women, women blaming niggas, and I'm just one. I think it's accountability to be held on both sides, but I do see your point, and yes, we do have to hold our boys and our men more accountable. But that could go into we could go into why, or especially when you said men need to hold men accountable. That can go into why don't we have more men around to hold them accountable, and how the whole divisive nature that was the whole plan in the first place to break down the black family. You know what I'm saying? So to keep the male out and all of that kind of stuff. So it's not even they want men to not even be around. So we're not able to hold each other accountable. We're not able to get on one accord and shit like that. But you are absolutely right. Because I even have
Can I interject for a moment?
yeah.
Okay. The moment that this is something that I have seen. I'm on TikTok a lot, and I'm also like on different social media platforms like Instagram and shit like that. So what I have realized is that anytime a man tries to hold men accountable, the first thing that I see in the comment is
You a simp.
An simp.
You a simp.
This
Yep.
man is married. Why he got a simp for y'all? For he already got his. You know what I'm saying? Like he's trying to spit knowledge and educate y'all about holding other men accountable. But now that's an issue. It's like, why are men so afraid of being held accountable? Like there is no such thing as power, because you don't have any power really. Like, but you know, the black patriarchy is the same. But you know, it's the same as the patriarchy if you really want to be, you know, frank about it. Like it's the
because we've been taught to adopt that.
It's black men have, well, the black community, black men, black cisgendered heterosexual men have adopted the same type of patriarchal mindset as the white man has. Because a lot of black, and this right here is just to kind of digress a little bit, but a lot of, if you really look at a lot of black history, a lot of the power leaders within a lot of different movements have been women. But women never ever get the credit for shit. The only person that you hear about really is you hear about fucking Rosa Parks. But then everything else you hear about, do it. Everything about Malcolm X, Dr. Martin Luther King. It's like, but there were so many women. There were also a lot of black gay women who started the what is it, the Black Panther. So I mean, it's so many different black women in history that people just skim over and they go right to the men because of the freaking like patriarchy. But
right. Damn, I was gonna say something. You had said something before, and then I lost my train of thought on what you had said. What was the first thing you had said when you interjected? This is horrible. My memory is horrible.
The patriarchy and how the black community has basically adopted that same European mindset.
It was something right before that. Either way, but shit. Say something, because I don't forgot what I was, where we was even going. My mindset just be all over the place. Holding men accountable, holding boys accountable.
Pimping shit.
You said pimping shit.
Simping.
Simp. Simp. That's where we was going with it. Simp. Yes, that is the first thing, that because anytime I even try to interject or say some shit that's even reasonable, oh, you a simp. Oh, you a simp ass nigga. And I just, I'm working on learning to laugh it off, because it's just like you say, it's like I got a woman at home who I got to simp for. I don't have to sit up here and simp for these women online. I'm just telling you niggas the shit that you niggas need to know, because you niggas really need to start to care about your women, care about black women more as a whole, because I feel like niggas just want pussy and they don't care about who's attached to it. And so anyway, it'd be a lot of that stuff. And so you're right. That's the first thing you get called a simp. But that's that toxic mindset. That's.
So it's like, how can real progress be made, like for black men, if black men are going to continuously hold themselves back or hold ourselves back? Because I mean, even though cisgender heterosexual men, it's like these guys, they need to hold themselves accountable and they need to hold other men accountable. But it's like, why do you constantly put your hand on your neck anytime somebody is trying to come in, and anytime another man is trying to come in and help you out? It's like, nah, you.
Because that shit is scary. That's why you ask, why don't they want to be held accountable? Why doesn't anybody want to be held?
That's why the black movement ain't gonna ever move forward. That's
what I agree. I'm starting to come to that realization, because there's certain niggas who gonna get in, certain niggas who not, and I just don't think we ever gonna all be on one page. But that's another topic for another day. But accountability is scary. That's you, because it's really causing you to have to look at yourself, look at the parts of yourself you don't like, and rearrange that shit, or you have to be willing for one to go back. And this is something that I have an issue with sometimes, is going back and saying that you're wrong. I was wrong about that. I was wrong about that ideology. I was wrong to think that that's not the way that shit works, and this is how it works. And it's hard to do that, especially it's hard for men to do that, but I think it's also especially hard for black men to do that. We hang on to our pride, because honestly I feel like that's one of the few things I feel like we can control, especially in America. But I feel like it's held on too tightly. We got to be able to let that pride go in order to face that ego and be accountable.
But why?
Why what?
Why is it so hard to do that? It's because
it's scary. Like I said, don't nobody want to look at your shit.
It ain't even just you. It ain't even just about how, it ain't even just that it's a fear within you. you are afraid how you're gonna look
to other people as well.
to your boys. It ain't even to other people because women are not in this equation. It's about how you gonna look to your boys. And most likely 9 times out of 10, if 4 out of 5 of y'all ain't shit, guess what? You the 5th ain't shit nigga.
Ain't shit, nigga.
You are afraid and you're not willing to change, or you're not willing to grow because you're worried about what these guys are gonna say. That's what goes back to the male gaze. Why is that so important to you? Like, why is it so important to men?
But see the amount of, now here's where I have to have a little discrepancy. The amount of, and yes, I do feel like men do a lot of the male gaze, but I think they are just worried about in general what people say, period, because a lot of black women, they be getting down on gay men too. It's a whole, like, they they don't want their sons to be gay. They don't want,
women.
they worry about all that, huh?
Cisgender heterosexual women. But
Yeah.
the thing is, everybody is afraid. Not everybody. Let me change my words.
Most
a lot of
are.
people, cisgender heterosexual people in the black community, are afraid of the gay, afraid of the LGBTQ community. They're afraid of us. Like, and not even like, and that's why it's a phobia, but it's like an extreme dislike. But when I say afraid of us, it's like they don't want to be put in a box or a category with us, which honestly, they feel like we're subpar anyways. And it kind of sucks to say it like that, because you don't want to be like, oh well, I know my mama not like that, or my cousin not. As a whole, in totality, the black community is like that. That cisgender heterosexual heteronormative mindset is very, very strong. And so that's why you will have like cisgender heterosexual women who feel that same way that cisgender heterosexual men do. And as you said before, it all goes back to religion. It all goes back to the traditional mindset that was not really, that was embedded within us, or ingrained within us because of slavery. So it kind of just all goes back to that.
And all of it always does. I always say that all the shit that we're going through now, it is all tied back to that. Because just like in my first podcast, I was saying, we was indigenous people from Africa, all that shit, which by the way, black people all over the world, not just Africa or even just America, but anyway, I digress. It was, gender wasn't a thing. Gender wasn't a construct. It was more so made off of what energy you are. Like, they didn't give a damn whether you was gay, straight, bi. That was a thing. Like, it wasn't made to be abnormal. So whenever the white people came in and colonized our minds, they made us to believe, oh, that's normal. I mean, oh, that's abnormal. That ain't right. Oh, I don't want my child to be gay. I don't want it. It's just like with this whole kitchen set. I saw this girl had made, and I feel so bad for laughing at this shit. I'm not even gonna say that part. That's petty. I'm not gonna say that part. This girl made a status about how, she was like, if you buying your son a kitchen set, you can keep him away from mine or whatever. He gonna have a grill set or some shit like that. And people was getting down on her ass, boy. And somebody had made the comment. Now, Lord forgive me, I'm gonna go ahead and say it. Somebody made the comment, and I don't know if something's wrong with her baby to where she can't grow no hair. But her baby daughter ain't got a lot of hair. Okay. But her son has a bountiful amount of hair that she keeps in a ponytail. And somebody had made the comment, okay, well, if we're doing gender roles, how come your son got hair and your daughter don't? So, God.
I'm not participating in the laughter.
I said, oh, not the baby.
And I don't know what my kid's head gonna look like. So I'm
I don't need, that's why I said, I don't know something wrong with the baby. I wasn't trying to laugh, but it was funny because it shut her ass up. She was replying to everybody else, but you ain't reply to that comment. It was just pointing out how stupid you sound. Like, you a lot of, but she was young, and I'm sure she was raised upon that same toxic kind of, mindset that we all generally are. So I don't know.
What, I got a little glimpse of the kitchen stuff a little bit earlier today, and this girl on Instagram. I'm not gonna like give all her personal information out on this podcast, but she made a status and she said this right here. She said, "Can I ask y'all some serious questions? why y'all be saying y'all want a man that cooks and cleans, but you won't buy your son a play kitchen or bath or a play broom? Why do you want boys to understand girls' body and the power of no, but you don't let them play with dolls? Why y'all spend all your paycheck on Ralph Lauren, Tommy Hilfiger, Michael Kors, but won't buy your son a sewing machine? Why y'all out here falling all over Chris Brown dance move, but you won't put your son in dance class? Why y'all tell your son to stop crying and be a man, but you will beg a 30-plus-year-old man to be more sensitive? Y'all spend more time and energy making sure y'all sons don't grow up gay, whatever that means, versus raising a cultured, tolerant, and respectful individual. And as I said earlier, people are afraid of the gay. It's nothing that you can do. No matter how many toys you buy, that if a person is who they are who they are. If it is in them, if who they are, because you can't call nobody gay until they're actually wanting to have sex with the same gender, but or actually doing that act. But anyways, people are just so afraid of their sons wanting to be with men or their children being gay. It's like if that person is who it is, it don't matter what you don't put them in, what you do put them in, keep them away from whatever. All they're gonna do is just prolong whenever they start doing that stuff. So it's like you can't make it go away. Pray away the gay is fake. It's fake news. You cannot pray away the gay person are who they are. Trust me, I tried it. I'm sure you tried it.
Right. And it didn't work.
How many hands you put on me, I'm still gonna be who the hell I am.
Right. And I saw that same status, and I thought it was so absolutely true. And we like to, especially the Black communities, make our boys especially stick to certain things or norms. It's like, oh no, you can only do this. I saw another one that said y'all be buying them cars and tool sets and all this, and half of y'all homeless, jobless, carless. So what did y'all turn out to be? But that's the Black community. Just we fail to make that correlation, that because it's a lot of women out here. You're right. They want somebody who's tolerant, cultured, and all these things in a man, but yet we not willing to raise our boys that in order so they can get to that place. We trying to raise them the same toxic way, but you think you're finna get something different, or this new generational guy that you envision or that you want or that you would like. You want somebody who's emotionally vulnerable, with you, but still assertive and who has boundaries and respectful and cultured and all that. You want that shit, but you're not willing to raise your kids like that in order to get it. You just want to raise another one of these toxic ass ain't shit. Okay. If that's
it's a
make it make sense.
Man, it's a walking contradiction. So my thing is like, my thing is like, y'all making stuff too deep. It's a toy. It ain't that. It's a damn toy.
Right.
And if you want to, because y'all are so caught up on colors, but as I said before, pink. I said this before to you, that pink used to be for boys and blue used to be for girls, and then they changed it up in the 1960s, and then they made pink for girls and blue for boys. You can Google the shit. And the same thing about cheerleading. Cheerleading used to be a male sport, male-dominated sport, all men, until a few women got involved in it, and the male flight happened. Look up the male flight on Google. It's like whenever a certain amount of women get into a certain profession,
kind of like black flight.
Yeah, they run away from it.
They run away.
And so that's why now it's for women now.
Oh, damn! I ain't tell me something.
It's crazy to
me. Tell me something. But see,
man.
That goes back and getting back to touching on Dave Chappelle. That does go back. That goes back into, like I said, the Black community needs a different conversation. We need a different message than what he was given, because I understand his point and what he was giving and what he was saying to the white people, that y'all need to give a fuck. But honestly, they're not. But also we need a different conversation with the Black community, in that, like I said, trans people are people, gay people, there's nothing wrong. You can't catch it. It's not abnormal. It's okay to you know what I'm saying? It's okay for your child to be that way. You can love them through it and stop being so caught up on what you feel like other people are going to, because you're right. You're worried about what other people are going to think about you. I have a friend who and nobody, I'm the only one who knows this, but he's had relations with trans women. And so, and when he was telling me about it, he was like, does that make me gay? And I was like, nah, and the way he acted, like he was so afraid, and I was just like, nah, like first off, trans women are women, and the women that you're going after, you're attracted to their woman features. Like that's what you're going after. Aside from them already being women, but even aside from that, even if you were, let's say that you were and you just wanted to be with men, what's wrong with that? Like you're afraid of it because you're afraid of what everybody else is gonna think. And we've got to get out of we got to get out of that. It's a lot of things. It's a lot of healing that we've got to do as a community, and we just don't. And we're not. Half of us aren't even aware of the things that we do need to heal, even in order to get to an open mindset, so that men won't be intimidated by your son asking, "Hey, can I have a kitchen set?" And if you do want to get into the color things, they have the little boyish looking kitchen sets. I've seen them. They'd be like the little black and metallic and shit, and you can get all that shit. It don't have to be, you know what I'm saying? But like, my whole point with the kitchen set was, what's wrong with a boy being in the kitchen? Because let me tell you something. When I first moved out, not first moved out, but the second time I moved out, when I was living with one of my twin brothers, boy, it'd be half of them nights. Look, I don't care what nobody say, you're not gonna always have an influx of pussy around you. So half of them goddamn nights, we'd be sitting there looking stupid when nobody's there to, cook us no dinner. So I had to start getting there, learning, trial and error. That's because ain't nobody finna. Everybody has to learn how to be self-sufficient for yourself. Otherwise, you're gonna be sitting there looking stupid. And even sometimes you got pussy in the house, but she one of them Alfredo warriors, so she can't even really cook like that anyway. So you still stuck looking stupid. So it's best to just, you gotta teach yourself. You gotta teach her, learn how to. It is best for everybody to learn. That's an essential skill. Cooking for yourself. Why is it looked at as gay?
That's not
Feeding yourself is gay.
woman shit.
What?
I said cooking, cleaning, that ain't no woman shit,
That's
man.
no, nigga. That's something
Life
don't you want
skill.
your house clean? Don't you want to eat? That's gay. It's gay to want cleanliness and to eat. Yeah, that's gay. All right. If that's gay, then I'm a gay ass nigga because I like my home clean and I want to eat because
that's not what gay is. Gay is you have to
that's
have
what
a
people.
sexual
That's what they're insinuating. That's
That's what
basically
silly. That's what
that's
silly.
the fuck they insinuating. If I get
Oh,
a
baby.
kitchen set, I'm gay now.
Oh.
Okay.
Oh,
Right.
hold up. I want to go back. I gotta go. I gotta touch this on Dave Chappelle though, because I don't want to miss over this. So here was a joke, or this right here was something that he said, um, that really like kind of like pissed me off. Like, even though he tries to be funny, like he tries to be funny when he tries to make, certain jokes, like referring to himself as like a turf, right? I don't know if you are familiar with the phrase turf, but turf, I think I wrote it down. It's like, it's called, it's TERF stands for Trans Exclusionary Radical Feminists. So basically people who don't consider trans women women. Basically. So he refers himself as a TERF like multiple times throughout his entire set. And then he goes on to make a joke about like trans women's pussies not really being pussies. He says the difference between the two. One bleeds and the other one is beet juice, or bleeds beet juice, or something that he said that he tried to be funny with. And I really didn't like that. Because it's very contradictory. Like, how can you say that trans women are women, and then you turn around and say, "Oh, I'm a TERF though," and I'm a TERF, and trans pussies aren't real pussies. And but my thing is like, how are they not real vaginas? Like
Well, that goes into the. I think he was being sarcastic when he said that about himself.
you make the assumption that he was being sarcastic. That's up to your interpretation. But to me, he was not being sarcastic. He said what he said. He said what he said.
I think he was that we'll just say that. I think just like I feel like whenever he was being, I feel like he was being sarcastic when he called himself something else. But then for him to say that
he said he called himself transphobic as well.
Transphobic, that's what it was. When he called himself transphobic, but then okay, this is two-folded. But whenever he called himself transphobic and he proceeded to say how he has a trans friend, But I guess we could equate that to, or not, I guess you could also equate that to whenever white people say, well, I got a black friend, you know, so it doesn't negate it. But I still feel like, and this is my assumption, I feel like he felt like he was being sarcastic because I feel like he thinks, but I guess you could say he is transphobic. But I don't think he necessarily meant that. Or I think he was going off of that's what people call him. So it was like, oh yeah, I'm this, right. But really you do hold transphobic views. So, but in my opinion, I feel like I don't think he was really being serious about calling himself that, but not really realizing the transphobic things that he's perpetuating.
Exactly. That's why I said. That's why I said I didn't think that. And I'm not saying because black people, like I said, we can't cancel anybody because we don't hold the power to do so. But I do think we need to call his ass out because at the end of the day, like I said earlier, you do have black people who are within these communities as well. So making these type of jokes, and as I've said to you before, you can't make these type of jokes and then expect people to not take your words and not think that your words are gonna cause harm to somebody who fits within this community. Because I feel like that's giving black men the justification to basically kill trans women. Because you're basically saying that they're not women at the end of the day. And honestly, I believe like I looked at Google and it said November, as of November, this has been the deadliest year for trans women, which means that there have been 47 trans women that are accounted for that have been killed so far this year. Last year, the record, quote unquote, was 46. And we're already at 47 and we're just now hitting December. So my thing is this, even though he think that those are jokes that he's making, the things that he's saying is very, very harmful to trans women, period. It's not funny. To me, if he wants to make a joke about a trans woman, say some shit like, oh, my homegirl is now trans. Man, that's a whole lot of unopened jars inside that house. Like something that motherfuckers can relate to. You get what I'm saying? Something that doesn't actually make someone, that doesn't actually cause harm because everybody's laughing at it together. You know what I'm saying? Like it.
And I guess that was, I was writing down some questions because again, like my question in the beginning was, well, where do we draw the cutoff line of who to offend and who not to offend? Because he says a lot of offensive shit about women, and there are black women that are intersected within that. But I guess my question is, so is the difference being because of the harm that it's specifically doing to and I want to say more so specifically trans women, to that portion of the LGBT community? Is that what makes the difference, and why I guess that should be off limits, or I guess tailored to be a certain way? Honestly,
yeah, like because it's not his experience. Like he's like, for example, let's say I believe there was a white comedian who used to crack jokes about lynching black people. Blackface used to be comedy. White people used to make jokes about black people, nigger all the time, but we didn't find that shit funny. And then and it finally got to a point where it was so offensive that that person was able to be canceled. And so it's just like you got to have that same energy. So if a lot of black women really felt that way, like I said, it can't happen because why? Black women don't have any power, and they damn sure don't have any privilege. So it don't matter what black women say.
I don't know. Black folks say period. Because my whole thing, why we can't keep that same energy when why are you not offended when we get killed? That'd be my whole thing. But again, that's a question for white people.
Once again, yeah, I'm about to say that
all the white people.
It does not concern them, but just because it doesn't concern you does not mean that it's not okay. Just the same thing with the Black Lives Matter movement. Like, even though it has more traction now, and that's because why? We're more people who are not people of color have finally got into it. So we're able to do a lot more. We're able to have like the stupid shit, like painting the streets saying Black Lives Matter and t-shirts and shit. Like really, it really doesn't mean anything, but now you're starting to see a lot more legislation being passed because why? Now we're finally having some non-people of color as allies who are
something.
now
Yeah.
helping push that agenda. So it's like, that's
Yeah.
why. That's why. And once again, as we said earlier, hold Black men accountable. We have to start holding other Black men accountable, cisgender heterosexual men accountable. Period.
Well, shit, we gotta hold everybody accountable because it's even trans men out here who
Yeah,
have
yeah.
certain toxic masculine ways, including myself. I still hold on to certain colonized ways of thinking that I'm trying to, let go of. But I was gonna say something about trans women. Oh, I this is why. Yeah, I guess when I first watched it, I feel like it's a difference between for trans women and trans men because, and that's why I say I feel like Black trans women are at the bottom of the totem pole because I feel like, and not to say that trans men's lives aren't endangered or that we're not, in fear of our lives in certain atmospheres or environments, but I feel like it is 10 times as worse for trans women. You don't hear nearly as many trans men getting killed as you do trans women, and that's because, like I said, I can't speak for the white community. The Black community, we're so hard on gay boys and trans women, and that honestly, I think for some people, I think for the people who get so outraged, they just find that demon within themselves that you mad because that's something that you want, the truth that you might want to live, but you can't, so you're getting angry. But
Your homeboy's gonna say something to you.
that's another topic, huh?
Say, because your homeboy's gonna say something to you.
Yeah, and then your homeboy's gonna say something, so that's that. But I feel like whenever I wasn't, I was afforded the privilege of not being able to be as offended when I first watched it because I feel like it mainly more so pertained to trans women anyway. Whenever I hear like in the media or just people speaking on transgender people, I think for the majority of the part, they're speaking more so about trans women. I don't ever hear like a lot of just,
Because it's easy to point them out, though. It's easy to point out.
and maybe that's why, maybe that's what it is. But I think it also is that factor of it being a man and you expect them to be a certain way. But we go through different things because, like I said, we've had the conversation before, and I've had this with other Black trans guys about how we feel like certain white trans men, honestly, that they bitch about a lot of shit. They bitch about a lot of things that we feel like just aren't bitchable. Not to say that we don't feel the same, but we're having to worry about, we're transitioning into America's Most Wanted as opposed to America's Elite. You're transitioning into a white man. So you at the top of the totem pole as far as America go. And we're like I said, we're being transitioned into, looked at it as a weapon. So it's certain things that we're not going to bitch about that y'all just feel the need to say or express.
Yeah.
But so I feel like we have different, but I feel like trans women, Black trans women, that's not, I feel like the color, okay, I'll say this. This is how I want to say this. And this is from my experience. I feel like for Black trans men, our color is more of a pressing issue than it is for us to be transgender. And I could be wrong. It's just coming from myself and speaking with a few other guys. But for trans women, I feel like them being transgender is more of an issue or more prevalent for their safety or more threatening to their safety as opposed to their race.
I get what you're saying.
Yeah.
I get what you're saying.
So I feel like it's two different battles. I feel like it's two different, and not to say that trans women don't go through issues because of their color, and not to say that trans men don't go through issues because of their gender. But I just feel like predominantly it's fighting two different races, and I think that Dave Special was much more harmful for a trans woman as opposed to for a trans man. It's just like when he said the bathroom thing. He was like, the bathroom, whatever. When he was saying if he was in North Carolina or whatever, and if a trans woman came in,
a woman walks in and she hikes up her skirt, he was uncomfortable. Then if a man came and was peeing out his butt,
right.
Veteran and said,
But that's the general consensus across Black community. I'm more okay with my gay homegirl than my gay dude, than my gay homeboy. What you ain't gonna really even see a black man hanging out with a gay guy unless he's family. Other than that, because they don't want to be associated with that, or they don't want.
I'm saying afraid of the gay.
Yeah, they're afraid of the gay, or afraid to be associated with being gay. So yeah.
But the crazy, to me, the only reason why I feel like that is a comfortability is because they don't feel powerless. Like they wouldn't feel like a masculine black woman or would be able to take advantage of them in any type of way. They feel like they have the upper hand in that type of situation. Like I can control this person or whatever the case may be. But if it is another black man, that person has just as much strength as you. That motherfucker can fight just like you do. Like it then becomes a power struggle. So it's like that's why they're so uncomfortable. And not only just that uncomfort, they just uncomfortable within themselves because I don't know how it's gonna look to my homeboys, me hanging around somebody who's gay, and they're gonna assume that I'm gay. Like I told like earlier in this call, I said I watched this dude named Conscious Lee. He educates me all the time, and it's so crazy because as soon as he started speaking up and speaking for LGBTQ people, the first thing that a black man said to him was, "Go ahead, come out the closet. Go ahead, come out the closet." It's like the man is married with kids, but he is very secure in who he is as a person. He's like, just because I'm fighting for justice and equality for people does not mean, or for LGBTQ people to be more specific, does not mean that I am within the community. It's okay. It is okay for me to be an ally and for me to give a fuck, excuse my language, but to give a shit about somebody within this community without me actually being physically a part of it. And it's like, motherfuckers be like, well, that ain't got nothing to do with me. So he feel like, well, shit, this right here may potentially impact somebody I care about or impact people in general. And I care about people. So I'm gonna be an ally, but here come people. Go ahead, jump out the cloud. That nigga gay anyway. He probably just trying to hide. Come on, man. It's like, dang, like, you know, can't fucking win for losing in this mug, man. Like, afraid of the gay.
That's all it is.
Be afraid of though. Like, it's
It
nothing.
ain't.
If you are secure in who you are and you know who you are as a person, like why somebody else's. First off, whenever you see somebody within the LGBTQ community, your first thought should not be what they do in their bedroom sexually anyways.
Right, because what difference does that make?
Curiosity that, you know, y'all watch too much, and I don't mean to say this, but y'all watch too much Pornhub. Like real life ain't like that, my guy. It is not like that. You know what I'm saying? Like,
I think you already know what I think. I think half of these guys out here just secret booty warriors, and they mad that they can't. Huh?
I can't confirm or deny that, so I'm not.
Half of them they secret booty warriors, and they mad that they can't just be yourself. That's what I always say. Just be yourself. It shouldn't even matter. But you're right. And I mean, like I said, I've been victim of that because I'm not gonna lie, because I do still, since from me growing up as a woman, I do still have certain, I feel like, feminine mannerisms. And so there are certain times, especially if I'm in the company of women, I notice that I'm softer. But I've noticed that a lot of men are softer in the company of women. Like they'll just speak a little softer with women as opposed to when you with men, you putting on that, all right, yeah, you know what I'm saying? You're doing all that shit. But anyway, so sometimes I'll be like, somebody mistakes me for gay because I come off just with a very friendly disposition or whatever, they feel like I am. But and sometimes it takes me back, or I'll be like, I'm not, or I get mad at it. But it's kind of like, well, what's there to be so mad at? Because it's not like being gay is a bad thing, for one, and for two, you're not gay, you're clapping cheeks, so female cheeks, so you're not gay, so it's really nothing to get. That's them niggas speculating in it, and why they worried about what the fuck going on in your bedroom.
Your bedroom, right? Why does I think you care? Like,
yeah.
Why do you guys? Why y'all so interested? Like, why do y'all care so much? Like, if this person over here, like, I don't care if this dude like getting pegged in the ass over here. It ain't me.
That's your business. Yeah, that ain't.
Yeah. You, like a woman doing it or what? I don't care who's doing it to you, bro. Like, I don't care about your bedroom, dude.
Right,
like,
right.
More what we got in common, my guy. Like, play video games or whatever the hell your interest is, But it's just weird to me, and I know that will be. I know that when I am hanging around, because I have not been in a lot of male-dominated spaces, and I have been like with the military, but only as presenting presenting female.
Mm-hmm.
So, that's already a discomfort for one. But it's like I already know, like, once I am looking and sounding a whole lot different, that the energy might be a little different as well.
Oh,
Like
it's gonna be different.
it's like it's so weird because it's like this weird like wanted acceptance that guys be looking for or something. Like I just don't participate in it. Like I'm just not interested. Period. Like I don't care if someone like, oh, that nigga gay. Okay,
No, okay.
you get what I'm saying? Like,
And
like my thing is like, stop. If people stop making that shit such a big deal, people will really stop caring. Like people would really stop caring.
Yeah,
It ain't that deep. It really is not that deep.
it's really not. Yeah, but that's the whole thing. You know who made it a big deal? White people, colonization, and Christianity. That's who made the big deal. You're not supposed to be gay. You're going to hell.
Yep, they introduced
You're going
homophobia to
straight to
a lot
hell.
of countries, man. They introduced homophobia to a lot of countries, which is why in like Ghana and different Ghana and Nigeria, you do have a lot of LGBTQ men who are going to jail. Like you have a lot of gay men who are in jail. Like they face up to 10 to 12 years of prison time for being caught in the act of homosexual act.
For something that used to be normal. In Uganda, they had a gay monarch.
You
Wait,
get
is
what I'm
monarch a woman or patriarch? No,
saying? Matriarch.
matriarch. They had a gay matriarch. So I'm like, the fuck? Like, we don't even know our history. The most us niggas know, about that little paragraph you got in school about us being slaves on the farm. Other than that, niggas don't know shit about their history. They don't know shit about where we come from.
Exactly. That's the real issue, is that we don't, like you said earlier, when we first started talking, like we don't know who we are.
We don't know ourselves.
Lost in the sauce.
Getting lost in the sauce and what these white people keep telling us of what we're supposed to be. You wonder why, and I will admit I have my guilty pleasure of so I like to call Stars the Cocaine Network now. 50 Cent to turn that to a whole cocaine network. I love them shows, but they do nothing but perpetuate Black people as being criminals, and that's how they want to keep it. They don't want us to be looking like anything other than drug dealers or pimps or what, just what I'm saying, just that's all we amount to. So so much so to the point where we feel comfortable letting our sons sing In Bed Young Boy and throw up the middle fingers and do all this other kind of shit, but we not finna let him get a kitchen set to be cultured, to even know that he can be open to those kind of things, to where he can come to you, hey mom, I want to start cooking, I want to get into that because you think it's gay. But you want to keep him to the toxic mindset of being a criminal and a thug. Okay. But that's what white people want us to do.
But it's honestly, I feel like our generation though, like the millennials, the 90s babies who are now having babies and raising kids and shit, I feel like majority of us are starting to have these conversations, and we're actually starting to dismantle a lot of these ideologies that we've had in the past. And I think we're really starting to break a lot of generational curses and a lot of trauma. We're starting to unpack a lot of that baggage, and now we're doing more conscious parenting with our children. Like we're having conversations with our kids. We're allowing our kids to ask us why, and we're allowing our kids to say, hey, that hurt my feelings, and really talking to them and understanding and apologizing to our children. It's like we are, and that's why everything is so uncomfortable right now, is because we are really truly breaking the cycle, and this shit is scary for a lot of things, because once we break that cycle, then now it's a whole new age now. It's a whole different life that our kids are gonna
awakening.
Because they're not just gonna be Black, they're gonna be able to be skaters. They're gonna be able to be like emo. They're gonna be able to, to just be and fit in different categories other than just basketball players, rappers, and whatever else bullshit. They
be able to be comfortable.
They can be themselves.
And being that, yeah.
Not being seen as weird. They can just be them fucking selves, and everybody just like, oh, okay.
And that's one of the reasons why I do, and I knew it was a reason why I liked this nigga, because he was my favorite basketball player growing up, Dwayne Wade. Let's, aside from his womanizing and cheating on Gabrielle, let's put that to the side from right now. But the way that he loves his daughter, the way that he loves her so unapologetically from the start, it has, and even how he was transparent about, when the conversation first came up and how he first felt, but for him now, he just, he loves her so out loud, unapologetically. He doesn't give a fuck with nobody. And these niggas will comment all day up and down. Broke niggas at that. Niggas who ain't got shit to their goddamn name.
Mhm.
But you want to sit up here and comment on how a nigga's raising his child. But hey.
What's the first thing they said? What they say? As soon as he accepted his daughter, what was the first thing that black men said to him?
You gay.
Thank you.
You gay, nigga.
Dennis Rodman can change his hair blue, green, but the moment they do it, it's gay.
You gay, right?
It's gay, like
what? Me loving my child makes me I'm gay. All right, what that made me gay, I'm gay as fuck. You know what I'm saying? If all this health, if being a healthy, balanced, just well-rounded individual, respectable, assertive man is being gay, well then I guess you can just paint me as that. I guess I'm just a gay nigga who clap female cheeks. So I don't know what else to tell niggas. Like it don't make no sense to me. But you're right, it's all about people just being afraid. We was all over. I feel like this was a good podcast. This was a good topic though, even though it was jumping. But it was, I feel like it was
everybody listen to the whole thing all the way. We were everywhere.
They gonna follow it. They gonna follow along with it. It was followable, you know. But we are about to wrap up on an hour. So if you want to say like any closing out remarks before we do wrap it up, you can go ahead.
All right. I guess I'll just kind of touch on the initial stuff with Dave Chappelle. The first thing I'm going to say is, for one, don't assume with the whole bathroom thing that he said. Don't assume someone who is transgender's genitals just because you see them. Trans women are women. Trans men are men. I also want to say that gender is not a fact. Gender is a social construct, and a social construct is something that everyone within that society agrees upon. Every man cannot have kids. Every woman cannot carry a baby. That is not what makes you a man. That is not what makes you a woman. That does not define who you are as a person. And I just want to say that, you know, in order for us to expect better, we have to do better. So that means we have to hold not only ourselves accountable, but also hold other people around us accountable. So anytime you hear anybody with any type of homophobic or transphobic jokes, it ain't funny if we all can't laugh.
Mm-hmm.
Because if you heard a white person telling a joke about black people and being slaves and picking cotton, it ain't funny to you. And that way, because it ain't funny to you means that it is not funny, period. So let's just get out that mindset of saying that's them, not me. Just because it does not affect you personally does not mean that it is okay. It's okay to call somebody out. So call out culture is real. And black people cannot be a part of cancel culture because we have no power.
Damn, we don't have power within this white world.
Absolutely.
But we got power. We got our own power. The problem is we ain't unlocked that motherfucker. That's why the power we ain't activated. We ain't unlocked it, and half of us ain't gonna unlock it. So that's sorry. I feel sorry for you niggas who not gonna unlock it. But that's the niggas who not unlocking is them same toxic niggas. Same mindset. You feel like trans women aren't women and that they need to die, or that your son can't have a kitchen set, or you know all that kind of stuff. You ain't unlocking none of your power, and you're gonna forever be wherever you at. Anyway, but I want to thank you for being on here. I want to thank you for saying those things because, again, like I said, Black people need a different message. We do need the message that it's okay. It's not a death sentence. It's not something to be afraid of. It's not, and to be open-minded and inclusive and understand that there a lot of dogs in the fight are intersected, you know. So and to speak about, just because you're speaking about the LGBT community, there are Black people who are part of that community as well. So that some of those things, well, not some of them, all of these things needed to be said. But yeah, so that is another episode of I Said What I Said. You can follow the YouTube. I always forget what it is. Let me pull it up. All right, and you can do is I Said What I Said with WAP, and then you can also follow the Instagram, which is I Said What I Said _ with GWAP. and that is GWAP. And I just want to thank all of the followers and all of the listeners for listening in on another episode. And we will be back next week. So, all right.
Heard he want smoke, he know where I stay. I live in 600 idea.
I came a long way from kicking in doors, trapping them bows, still fucking these hoes. Still the same nigga that's rocking these show paparazzi pop pics, but I don't even pose. Keeping it real is all that I know. Keep the 40 on side for a hard-headed folk. I'm feeling like Diddy putting on for my shit. Give a fuck about the folks on the real riding with. Accurate with the bullet, you know that I'm.